So Esan made a video about the drama, about the Total WoW lawsuit, and I wanted to see what his opinion is from someone that started as a private server player well back in the day to what he thinks about the current state of Classic and World of Warcraft, because he hasn't really been playing WoW that much. But let's see what he has to say. Let's just dive right into it.
Wait, were they sponsoring people? were they sponsoring people? Yes? So these guys are making bank. I think Season of Discovery was literally Blizzard trying to discover what works in Classic WoW. And I think they learned a lot of things, and I think some of those things that they learned about worked. Since Season of Discovery, there's been like private servers coming out that have been making their own sort of custom content. Notably, there's Turtle WoW, which just got nuked with this massive lawsuit. And this isn't like a normal like cease and desist type of shutdown that had happened in the past with Nostalrius, that had happened in the past with some of these other private servers, right? Like Gummies, Burning Crusade, whatever, right? These cease and desist type things that have come about. Those of you guys who don't know me and my history, that's where I come from. I come from the private server scene. A lot of people keep saying S-Fan on Nost. I actually didn't play Nost. I started playing after Nostalrius. They should hire these people. I think it's a little bit more complicated than that. What I do think they should do is I think they should consult with them. And Blizzard did consult with them in the past.
So with Nostalrius, they did do that. With TWoW, I do think the Classic devs are playing TWoW, but I don't think they're allowed to talk with them. I think Classic WoW was a much needed save for BFA and Shadowlands. I don't think Classic WoW needs to save retail right now, so it's not that big a deal. Retail WoW is in the best spot it's been in a very, very long time. So just based off of that, Blizzard proper and Microsoft just don't care too much about the private server scene, whereas Nostalrius and Classic's OG launch was a necessity.
They consulted with the Nostalrius team. There was a big Nostalrius postmortem, whatever. I've been thinking a lot about this and how I became known. I guess I was known in a very, very small pond of like the Elysium, Lights Hope private server community, but I ended up getting banned because I was doing private server content. I got DMCA'd. Very notably, I was on the Blizzard shit list. I then switched away from private server stuff, not necessarily playing it because I still played, but I didn't make the private server content anymore. And what I did was I made Classic WoW content off of private servers. I talked about it and I did all that. We started the podcast. And so that's kind of where I come from. This Turtle WoW lawsuit is a lot more heavy-handed than I believe what happened with Nostalrius, with what happened in the past. Because before, what it was a cease and desist. Now what's happened is that it's an actual full-blown like, hey, we're bringing the hammer down. And there's a lot of key differences between what Nostalrius was. So it was like,
well, Nostalrius was a small private server. Total WoW is a whole ass company. Total WoW has advertisement, marketing leads. It has full-on employees. It has a ginormous in-game store. Total WoW is making money hand over fist, whereas Nostalrius was a passion project for the vanilla crowd, the purists who wanted a return to the OG World of Warcraft. So there's a huge difference between the two servers and how they operate. TWoW is ginormous. Absolutely fucking huge for a private server. For a private server, it's insane how big TWoW is. It's not even like a joke. That's the genuine truth. It's massive.
Nostalrius, and then eventually went to Elysium, which then turned into Lights Hope. And then you have Turtle WoW, which was made by the same people that made Elysium originally, I think, or some of the same people. I don't really know all the details, but what I do know is this: is they came in and they wanted to shut down Nostalrius. Nostalrius conceded and was like, okay, cool. And then they kind of worked with Blizzard to have a meeting. They did like this big post-mortem thing. It was good. This was a good thing for the WoW community, for the Classic WoW community, for the people that wanted vanilla WoW. What's happening now is a little bit different. Nostalrius was kind of seen as like a sort of passion project, I would say, whereas Turtle WoW is, hey, we are now changing the game. They've been like trying to code.
So the difference is gold sellers and stuff also make a lot of money and all that stuff, right? But gold sellers aren't infringing upon Blizzard's IP in the same level that TWoW did. Nostalrius was a re-release of an original Classic product. TWoW was making a new, quotation marks, better game. A new expanded experience. A new modernized take on the Classic experience with new content, full class balancing, new races, new additions, new content, dungeon zones, raids. TWoW was a lot bigger in every single sense and scale and scope in comparison to Nostalrius.
custom stuff. They've been adding stuff in, making like ads and stuff for it, right? Like it's being advertised and they have like a cash shop. Now there's like a very public financial transaction that's occurring as well, which I think is what's making this so different, because Blizzard's coming in and Blizzard has to protect their IP, right? So I learned about all this stuff. I started learning about it in 2018, 2017, then to 2017, whenever I got knocked, about like, how does this stuff kind of work? I ended up getting knocked for the DMCA stuff, and really the core principle of the whole thing was what? Blizzard has to protect their IP. If they are made aware of something and they don't go out and protect their IP, then legally there's grounds for them to be able to have a case against losing that IP. Yeah, Nos was very much, if you're not gonna do it, we're gonna do it ourselves.
And that is true. They do have the potential to lose the rights to Classic. The biggest fear for Blizzard isn't that retail WoW will whatever ever be lost. The biggest fear for Blizzard right now is if Classic WoW itself becomes open source, where anybody can make their own private server and Blizzard can't stop them. That would eat into a shit ton of Blizzard's revenue and profit, because the amount of custom private servers that would pop off would be absolutely insane. But as of right now, it's still Blizzard's IP and Blizzard's right, and Blizzard's terrified of ever losing that.
Yeah, pretty much. But what has now happened is Blizzard is coming out with the big guns. They're going after them legally. I do have the document here, actually, and I wanted to go over it today on stream. Yeah, Blizzard Entertainment versus Turtle WoW. The real purpose of me wanting to do this is to prove to you guys that I can read, which is like kind of cool. A lot of people don't really like actually know that I can read.
We're streamers. You can't read us, fan. Let's be real here. We're streamers. What do you mean you're reading here? We're streamers, buddy. Come on. Streamers don't read. Yeah, but the bot is also impacting the game and should be treated the same. But they should go after them the same way they do with RICO. Honestly, multi-billion-dollar corporation, one makes them money and one loses them money. So you kind of see how it is. It's not ideal, but you see how it is.
Because I don't do it that much, but I learned how to read in school. Since then, I've kind of stopped reading, but there's this big ass document. We're talking 50 pages, kind of going over everything and really explaining what is going on here and why. I think it's important to look at like the different paragraphs and the different notes of like what they see as grounds for pursuing legal action. So first off, this is like the intro, right? We're like, okay, this, and this is how we're going to describe everything. You know, Blizzard, WoW, MMO, whatever. And then they explain.
Oh, they definitely don't want to protect their players. They're protecting their own self-interest. This was never about the players. This is about Blizzard's interest, Microsoft's interest in the IPs they own.
Blizzard has taken steps to protect its valuable intellectual property. So this is protecting their IP. This is what they do, yada, yada, yada. So what they're saying is the people that they're going after, they've built a business on large-scale, egregious, and ongoing infringement of Blizzard's intellectual property, as set forth in more detail herein. Defendants are the key members of a multinational business enterprise known as Turtle WoW. Through Turtle WoW, defendants...
They really are treating TWoW like some multi-billion-dollar corporation that they're fighting against for IP infringement. They're treating TWoW the same way they treat a Chinese corporation that's infringing upon their IP at the highest caliber.
Have found a lucrative way to exploit and profit from the popularity of the WoW game experience, specifically Turtle WoW purports to offer to the public paid access to a group of unauthorized emulated private WoW game servers, as well as all the software and other tools necessary to access and use these emulated servers, including pirated copies of WoW that have been specifically modified to work with its unauthorized servers. So what this is saying is simply, hey, they've made these emulated private servers, getting money from it. They've modified the work and they're trying to resell it, mimicking and modifying the normal mechanics by how they get to Blizzard's WoW servers. Turtle WoW's unauthorized servers. Unauthorized servers. I like, that's a new one. We had undocumented, we had private, we had now unauthorized. We got a new one. Unauthorized servers. Harm the player experience several ways.
Harm the player experience in several ways. There's a lot I could say about that, but what I am going to say is it doesn't harm the player experience. It shows to people what a Classic Plus could be and what it could look like. And that's honestly harmful because it has soured a lot of people's expectations and experiences and opinions on what Classic Plus is and what Classic Plus should look like. And because of that, it's a somewhat problematic situation because by showing people how good the alternative could be, how good Classic WoW could be, it is actively harming that experience because it makes people see what they're playing in Anniversary or Mr. Pandaria versus what they could be playing in Classic Plus.
By way of example, these unauthorized private servers drive away otherwise dedicated WoW players, introduce security risks to players, fragment the WoW player community, and create confusion as to what are official supported versions of WoW. Yeah, I mean, actually, these are true. When a player moves on to an unauthorized illegal server, such as a Turtle WoW private server, and has a negative experience, including security breaches or inferior player experience, that confusion damages Blizzard official WoW brand, results in significant loss of revenue for Blizzard. Private servers such as Turtle WoW also encourage and facilitate video game piracy by allowing players to avoid paying for the gaming experience, and Blizzard has invested so much time.
The inferior player experience line is kind of funny to me, because if you ask most TWoW players, they definitely would say the opposite. There's definitely bad experiences to be had, right? There's always, no matter where you're playing, whether it's official or private, there's always going to be a bad experience here or there. But the average TWoW player I've seen, at least, has done nothing but praise the absolute shit out of TWoW in every single way possible.
I would like to think that I mean, this is all like legal shit, right? A lot of times when it comes to like this legal stuff, they like bring the house, okay? They just send everything. Like, I would like to think that somebody is not stupid enough for this to be the case. I'm probably wrong. Damaging official WoW brand because it happens on a private server. But yeah, they're basically trying to go through and when it comes to like a legal sense, they're trying to set up all the damages, right? Turtle WoW is among the largest and most sophisticated private WoW servers available today. Turtle WoW purports to offer not only Blizzard's original WoW game, which it refers to as vanilla, but also a fan-made expansion story that delves deeper into exploring the original lore of the game and seeks to enhance the game by adding content. Yeah, which this is all we all know about, right?
And that's the Classic Plus we're talking about. The Classic Plus I'm talking about. It's the Classic Plus I want that I can't wait for. All I truly want as a player is Classic Plus. All I truly want as a creator is Classic Plus. All I want from WoW is Classic Plus or a WoW 2. And Classic Plus seems to be coming. But seeing it already be available in a private server sense has been absolutely devastating experience for a large portion of the official WoW player base, or the Classic WoW player base.
Right. So it's like it's being advertised, it's being sold as something else entirely. Recently, they've been brazenly escalating its efforts to cannibalize and disrupt Blizzard's WoW player community. For example, increasing its social media presence, partnering with video game influencers. Wait, were they sponsoring people?
They actually were sponsoring people, 100%. No one I know of got sponsored, though a creator friend of mine got offered a sponsorship and he tweaked out and literally went on like this literally burned down everything campaign against the guy that offered him the sales thing, because he had an American speaking audience and they tried to give him LATAM money, and that made him tweak the fuck out.
Sponsoring people. Yes. Dude, what the Okay.
How the fuck is Nugush in every single person's chat? Nugush is in my chat, he's in Hammer's chat, Jerome's chat, Talo's chat, every person's chat I've seen. Motherfuckers even in S-Fan's chat. When do you go to sleep? How are you in every single person's chat somehow? God damn, Nugush.
That's crazy. That's actually crazy. So these guys are making bank. These guys are getting paid, is what's happening. So Turtle WoW is just raking it in, isn't it? I mean, a YouTube ad is one thing, but like
oh, TWoW's making a fuck ton of money, an absolutely obscene amount of money. Like, it's diabolical the amount of money they're making. TWoW probably makes as much, if not more, money than Classic WoW.
Sponsoring a streamer or like a YouTuber for it. If you want to avoid doing things to insinuate you're making a lot of money, don't hire influencers. Yeah, that's crazy. They had ads playing on Twitch too. That is crazy. I had heard they had ads. I mean, I'd seen it on Twitter, some things. That's crazy. Violent events of racket. Ooh. RICO. Okay, racketeering, influencing, corrupt organization. Oh shit, they're
pulling out the heavy guns.
Oh,
the heavy guns.
Okay. Okay. So they're pursuing RICO charges, which is like they're going damn. Okay, so they're full sending it on these guys. Blizzard has informed believes that on and on that basis alleges that defendant AFK Craft Limited is a company that registered in Hong Kong that proposes and owns and operates the Turtle WoW servers, especially those servers located in Southeast Asia. Believed to be the AFK Craft like Turtle WoW's an underfunded fictional shell company that operates as a mere alter ego.
Yo, Shunny, thank you for the follow-up.
The defendants, while also the frick. Oh, so here are the screenshots. So they made their own launcher.
So, like, the RICO Act is absolutely brutal. If they can get any of these other countries to agree to the RICO Act, a lot of TWow's employees are going to get smacked with the big dick of the law, and I'm truly worried about their safety, because that's not going to be a simple dicking down. That's going to be rough.
It takes you to this. This is so interesting to me. Defendants also prominently display Blizzard's distinctive logo. Yeah. Including the trademark symbol. Or the R is registered trademark, right? Racketeering activity was effectuated, carried out, and are made possible by defendants' regular and repeated use of the resources of the enterprise. Those resources include the creation of and access to unauthorized modified copies of WoW client software and servers, a trove of common marketing and promotional materials for Turtle. See, I don't, dude, they went to, like, why would they do this? I feel like this was not a good idea. Like, I'm gonna make a profound statement here and say I don't think this is a very good idea. Yeah, so question, how does this compare to running a GTARP server? Ooh, that's a can of worms.
GTARP is unofficially acknowledged by Rockstar with the tools to allow them. You're hosting GTARP servers with Rockstar's permission, with a lot of the legalese that makes it so that Rockstar can shut down these servers at any time. Everybody operates under that understanding. Whereas with TWow, they've literally said, fuck you, Blizzard. They've atted Blizzard and literally just made fun of them on Twitter and other locations. So it's different. One operates under the law of the company, one just quite literally says, go fuck yourself.
That I would love to talk about. I would love to talk about that. That's a big can of worms. Let me get through the rest of this document and I'll get to that actually. Basically, Blizzard goes through, explains all the reasons for why they're bringing the house on these guys. And they're saying they've infringed on Cataclysm, Wrath, Burning Crusade, and all this stuff, right? Date of registration, November 29th, 2004. Wait, what? Hold on. The trademark was registered for World of Warcraft on November 29th? That's not right. Oh, its last updated original filing is older. Oh, okay. Because the game released on the 23rd. Yeah, initial release date, November 23rd. That's why I was like, what the hell? Oh, so it was first, World of Warcraft was first filed in 2001. Interesting. That's so funny. So, I mean, I don't know. Dude, am I getting old? Oh my gosh, I'm getting old. Why is this interesting to me? Dates are interesting. The game came out 7 months before I was born. Dude, same, actually. That's crazy. So let's talk about, you were talking about how is this different than a GTRP server? What it comes down to is UGC. Yeah, I'm opening the can of worms. So what is UGC? User-generated content. So user-generated content is the concept of providing a platform, providing tools for your community of people that play the game to actually go through and be able to make content for the game itself. So some examples of this would be something like Roblox, like Grand Theft Auto Online. It's actually funny that you said this, Croden, because I want to talk about this. So
people have been begging for official private servers for a while. Blizzard could be making money hand over fist if they just made official private servers, but TWow could license a server, Epoch could, Ascension could, Warmane could. Everybody could license their own servers and make their own official custom private servers. They would make so much money, yet Blizzard will not and refuses to do so. But user-generated content is absolutely the future for WoW. But like, I don't know if they'll ever do it. That's the tragic part.
If you guys are familiar with our good friend, Chris Kaliki, okay? Good friend, Chris Kaliki. This guy's one of the GOATs, dude, okay? Chris Kaliki, big time. He was a longtime dev at Blizzard, ended up starting Notorious Studios. They made the game Legacy, Steel and Sorcery, which is a lot of fun. But he put out this tweet. It's crazy. I remember this tweet and I didn't even like it, but So it's funny because Chris Kaliki actually talked about this. The best next step with WoW would be to give players the tools and methods to create their own content and servers. You could still require the sub for all players playing on official servers, but then you'd have endless content and save a ton on dev costs, and it'd be the first UGC MMO. I don't know if it would actually be the first UGC MMO, but like it'd be marketed as that. Rockstar.
What other MMOs has UGC heavy focus? Star Wars Galaxies maybe, but I don't think that was heavy UGC. That was just heavy, like, I mean, I guess it was user generated content because of how you played it, but not that people were making custom assets in it, I don't think. Has there been a UGC MMO?
Has the tools for people to be able to host their own servers, right? Like that stuff's all out there. Their copyright is protected. Whereas with Blizzard, this is not something that they provide. Might be a good idea, actually. Blizzard just doesn't care about the community. That's why they get salty about private servers. Well, I mean, I think it just comes down to money and protecting your IP. I think that's it, period. Do you really need UGC for WoW? It would shift everyone's idea of what Azeroth in World of Warcraft is. Yeah, like I said, I don't know if it's a good idea or not, but it's super interesting that you said that because I saw this post from Chris Kaliki, and I think it's very interesting to think about. People want to make their own private.
Sorry, I muted. I apologize. It was a slight second. What I said was, oh shit, interesting. So I said, Second Life UGC makes complete sense. Understandable, chat. And then I said, Genshin Impact making UGC sounds weird to me and wild to me because UGC Genshin Impact is effectively like, what are people making their own waifus you can gacha roll for? Like, how is Genshin Impact's UGC content going to work?
With their own custom content, their own sort of events and this and that. Well, what if, just like GTA Roleplay, just like GTA Online, Blizzard had the means of being able to provide people with the tools to do that on their own, and then Blizzard reaps the rewards. Like somebody asked earlier, do you need a sub to play on a private server? You don't, which is kind of a key issue. So what if you required a sub to be able to play and then you gave other people the tools to be able to run their own servers?
I've said this for a while. I literally have a video I made a while ago about this, actually. Let me show you all. I literally made a video about this shit a long time ago. It's an old video too. Like, well, not that old, but I gotta scroll down. Official private servers for official WoW classic private servers, the future of WoW. I made the video because I made it when they did the Project Xeneris video, when there were Project Xeneris for old school RuneScape or RuneScape in general. I was like, we need this for classic WoW. Do you know how insane it would be? But alas, it was not meant to be. Let me go back to this.
He's right. That'd be the best strategy. That's literally the Roblox model, and look at how they're doing. Yeah, I mean, Roblox hits 47.3 million concurrent users, the highest ever recorded on a gaming platform, beating Steam's 41.2 million peak in March. Yeah, now, I mean, Roblox isn't doing great all the way around, right? But in terms of what matters here, we're talking about
Roblox is doing great when it comes to making money. Roblox is doing terrible when it comes to goddamn pedophilia, which is a whole different conversation. For 47.3 million, 46 million children, teens, adults playing and having fun. 1 million pedophiles. That's a pretty exaggerated number of pedophiles, but I honestly wouldn't be surprised. I'm gonna be real. My son's banned from playing Roblox. I don't let him play that shit at all. He only gets Minecraft. Roblox is not a game I'm gonna let my son just go be free on. Because holy shit, what a terrible fucking community that game potentially has at times.
Here, yeah, Roblox is doing great, right, in terms of this. Imagine you had your own sort of like custom tournament servers where you can come up with a rule set or something, and you'd have to have people code it and whatnot. There'd probably be a lot of red tape and little things that you'd have to cross those things that I don't even have the means of thinking about it, not even right now, but there's things that I don't even know about that are probably going to be issues. But it could be cool. I think it could be really cool. Goldshire Bathroom Realm. I mean, I think the idea of it is interesting. I don't know if it's
ERP realms? I'm just saying. The Draenei Brothel realm, the Big Titty Elf realms. Like, just come on, guys. The money. The Gooners swipe. If you want to make money, let the gooners swipe. They will make money.
Good, but it's interesting. People coming up with different servers. We went through this in 2016. I say we, I wasn't really involved yet. I didn't really start till 2017. The community went through this in 2016, the Vanilla WoW community. Is this gonna happen every 10 years? Where somebody wants something, it grows, it turns into a thing, and then every 10 years it's like, okay, well now you gotta go through the whole damn dog and pony show. Maybe, right? And now we're there with Classic Plus. Period, point blank, end of discussion. This whole thing snowballing into this 50-page court document, into Turtle WoW going through and sponsoring streamers and YouTubers to make content about it. At the end of the day, it comes down to one thing.
Actually, I want to say something. You know what pisses me off? I've been like the biggest Classic Plus dedicated channel for a while. I've been grinding that shit out. Making all this Classic Plus needs this, unfinished content this, unfinished this, that videos. And Turtle WoW never fucking reached out to me for a sponsorship. That hurts me. I would have said no. But that's some colossal fucking bullshit that I was never reached out to. Like, am I a fucking joke? Am I the joke here? Like, goddamn, man.
People want to play Classic WoW. And they want it more, okay? They want Classic Plus. They want this. This is something that people have been asking for. And you know what? Not only that, I've said this from back in the day. Blizzard did a lot of good with Classic 2019, but there was a lot of things they missed the mark on. Some of it, it's gonna sound like I'm beating a dead horse. They missed the mark on progressive itemization. This is something that we pushed really hard for. We pushed for progressive itemization. They didn't do it. I think they missed the mark. We pushed really hard for a more fleshed out patch cycle. Originally, there's 11 patches. It starts with 1.1, goes all the way to 1.12. They announced 4. A lot of people, myself personally, talked to Blizzard about this, and we convinced them to increase. I said 8. I asked for at least 8. They ended up going with 7. Okay, they went with seven patches for Vanilla WoW. This is in Classic 2019. So that was good. That was something good that they did, right? They saw that this was like, okay, this is gonna go poorly. Let's add some more patches and let's flesh this thing out a little bit better. Another thing that I think they did miss the mark on, and some people are gonna hate that I say this, and I said this years ago. I made a YouTube video about it. I did a 2-hour stream talking about it. It was my most disliked YouTube video at the time, and it probably still is. And it was me saying Classic WoW does need changes and you have to account for the times. I do think you need to account for the times. And that's something that we saw with Nostalrius.
He is absolutely fucking correct. I've said this before, but the no changes crowd harmed World of Warcraft more than any other crowd. The no changes at all was the worst thing they could have done. I'm not saying go full-blown every change, but something as simple as dual spec, something as simple as world buffs, you know, for example, Rend being available for the Alliance with their own separate version. Something as simple as Chrono Boon from the get-go. Small little changes would have made Classic WoW better. And pretty much everybody now lives and breathes hashtag small changes. No changes is absolutely a terrible methodology and mentality.
Yes, that's something that we saw with Elysium, with Light's Hope. We saw it with Northdale. We saw it with Turtle WoW. You see it with Epic. You see it with whatever the private server is. You account for the times. But the feeling of what Classic WoW is, no changes is something that people think about and they remember. But the truth is people don't really know about all the facts. They know what they feel. And then whenever you try super hard to have things be so specific and like factual no changes, and this is something I tried to talk to Blizzard about this years ago. I said, people say they want no changes, but they don't want factual no changes. They don't know. They want the feeling of no changes. They want to feel like they're playing the game they used to play. They don't want to, they don't care if like the armor values are exactly right. They don't care if all these little things under the table are exactly right. And I know this because on private server, it wasn't done this way. on like Nostalrius, for example, they bumped up armor values for the bosses because they were like, the scaling's too high. Now that people know how to play a warrior, now that people know warriors aren't tanks only, and they understand how the scaling of it works, especially after the rework that occurred in patch 1.6, they're a lot stronger now than they were. Well, especially Fury Warriors, right? And as far as PvE goes. I'm talking strictly from a PvE standpoint. I actually think vanilla WoW's patch 1.12 PvP is very well balanced, way more so than people give it credit for. The game's not balanced around 1v1s. It never has been. Even in the 1v1 scenario, it's pretty decent. And the way that you fill in those breaks in the balance is with professions. Anyway, just to keep from talking about a whole separate thing, I think Blizzard missed the mark in 2019 with a few specific things. On the flip side, when Burning Crusade came out, in 2021, was it? They missed the mark on Burning Crusade on launch a little bit. A couple months in to Burning Crusade, they accounted for the times. And Burning Crusade Classic ended up being abso-freaking-lutely incredible. Unreal.
It's true.
When you got Glad? When I got Gladiator. Yeah, when I got Gladiator. Safe Glad a week before the end of the season. I went to Korea after that and still got Gladiator. Yeah. What did they change with TBC Classic? I'm bonus biased because they did some specific stuff for Paladins, right? Dude, I'm telling you, I begged these guys. I was on both knees. I was going to town, okay? Hey, listen, I was happy. I got my seal of...
I do think there should have been more changes. I'm not saying we needed 1 billion changes, but he's definitely correct. Like, when I think back to it, the zero, nada, nilch, nothing, changes at all truly did hurt the game. And they definitely needed more changes.
Blood, I was good. But even like other things some of the things that I didn't agree with, and you guys are gonna think I'm probably crazy for saying this, some of the things that I didn't agree with at the time, like I didn't agree with the boost. I didn't agree with the level 60 boost. I was wrong.
That was terrible.
Actually. I realized by the end of Burning Crusade how many people I was playing with that were like, yeah, I wouldn't have come back for Burning Crusade if it wasn't for the boost. Or like, I didn't play vanilla, but
And see, that's the problem. That's the fucking problem, is that the modern player base wants that. You have to adhere to what classic WoW is, to the large classic audience, while still giving modern conveniences, but at the same time, it's such a fine line. It's such a fine line that you're going over or under is so easy, and they can fuck up the experience either way. I do not envy Blizzard. I do not envy them with Classic Plus. But like, a lot of people don't level anymore. They just boost. People do not enjoy leveling. People do not give a singular flying fuck about leveling. And that's just the goddamn truth, and that sucks ass.
I wanted to play Burning Crusade, and the boost ended up bringing them into it. I was wrong, 100% about that one. Another thing was PvP. Having the PvP, the factions be able to play against themselves.
Yo, Suicide Squad, thanks for the follow.
That was something really good that they added. Another thing that they did that was really good was the meta of arenas in Burning Crusade changed from season to season because of just the way, just the gear that is made available to you, yes, but also they were very smart about making the changes they needed to modify the balance. Like season 2 of Burning Crusade Arenas was horrible. It was really, really bad. And a lot of it was because of the prevalence of double healer and how strong it was whenever you coupled it with like the engineering stuff. What they realized is the engineering stuff, like the boots, the belt, all that stuff, was a lot more impactful for a healer than it was for really any other class. So you would end up having Druid, Priest, Warlock, Druid, Priest, Hunter. And you would have these like double healer comps that were just basically like dampened comps. And they were really, really bad. So Blizzard comes in, they're like, F no changes. This is stupid. We're just gonna get rid of this. Season 3 ended up being incredible, right? I was talking to Zico about this at the World First Race. I was talking to Zico about this and he agreed 100%. Zico's like, dude, season 3 was incredible and season 2 was ass. So I think there's a lot of people that feel that way. And Blizzard.
But that's why changes have to be conditional. Certain changes at certain moments, at certain realities, at certain expectations. The idea of hashtag no changes or hashtag every change truly and absolutely will fuck up an experience because the game isn't a zero-sum experience, a zero-sum continuity. There needs to be flexibility to what you change and what you don't change.
Blizzard did such a good job of monitoring that meta and having a hands-on approach in Burning Crusade more so than they had in vanilla. In vanilla, they wanted to like set it and forget it as much as possible because so many people were so adamant about the no changes thing. And this goes with all WoW, all versions of WoW, whether it's retail, whether it's classic, whether it's this expansion or that expansion. An MMO is something that it's like a baby. MMORPGs are like, are any of you guys parents? Type one in chat if you're a parent. Type one in chat if you're at a 2-year-old. So, I'm not. But I know a lot of people. All the parents are saying it. Yeah, I'm not even one of them, but all the parents are saying it. I know a lot of people that are parents. And everybody that is a parent that has ever had a 2-year-old baby knows that this thing is like a ball of chaos that is trying as hard as it possibly can to kill itself. Okay? This thing is trying to discover new ways to end its own life at any given time of day. It's insane. Okay? You have to.
That's the classic player base. That is hands down the classic player base. Absolutely.
Monitor this baby 24/7, otherwise it's gonna get itself in trouble. An MMORPG is the same way. You have to be very hands-on, you have to be very active with the approach. And that's really, this kind of ties it all back in. That's really why private servers got popular, is because they were so hands-on. Again, talking about Nostalrius, talking about the OGs with Nostalrius, with Lights.
All right, technical difficulties are over. We are good now, chat. We are good now. Okay.
With Elysium, all these different servers, they were hands-on and they were agile whenever it came to, hey, we need to fix things. Hey, we need to make changes. Hey, this thing's being exploited. Let's make a change. Let's make a change. And that's what you need with Blizzard. You didn't really have that as much with Classic because, one, I don't think Blizzard expected Classic to be as popular as it was. And two, I don't think Blizzard wanted to spend the resources towards Classic at that point because they just weren't made available. There's probably as many, if not more, people playing Classic WoW today than there are playing Retail WoW. And when I say Classic WoW, I'm talking all versions. And the reason why I say this is because the amount of different ways you have to play Classic WoW made available. I think if you add up everything, you probably have at least as many, if not more, people playing Classic. However, I think that Retail WoW is the cash cow. I think Retail WoW makes the money. I think Retail WoW is what brings home the bacon. It's monetized a lot better. You got the new expansions. When I say monetized better, I'm talking about the boost, the transfers, the faction swaps, all that stuff. Do I think Turtle WoW is gonna be able to fight this? Probably not. You're talking about Microsoft. Okay, Activision, Blizzard, Microsoft. I mean, they're bringing in the big guns, right? They're doing Uncle Rico charges. They got Uncle Rico lawyering up for this. Just like it happened in 2016, man. It's very clear that people want this.
People want Classic Plus more than anything else. It's absolutely insane that even right now, to this moment, we still don't have Classic Plus. All people wanted, all people have been asking for the entire time is more Classic. More and more classic content, more and more deep dives and affinities into the classic WoW experience and livelihood, but we don't have that, and that's a tragedy.
It's very clear that people want to play Classic WoW. Very clear that people want to play Classic Plus. For me, it's something that's always going to be like very special to me and something very close to my heart. You have Classic WoW available for people to be able to be played the way they want it to be able to be played, because that's really what the game was at its core. You know, like over the years, it's been like meta to hell and people are min-maxing this and min-maxing that. And there's a lot of like cultural, like community stuff, but really like what the game was is it was a game that you could come in and you could play and you had people who like to level, you had people that like to raid, you had people like to world PvP, eventually in Burning Crusade, you had people that wanted to arena, right? You had battlegrounds. If Blizzard is doing this, if Blizzard is shutting down Turtle WoW, right, which legally to protect their IP and for all the reasons listed in this 50-page document, obviously this is something that they're going to have to do. But if you're going to do this and there's so many tens and hundreds of thousands of people even.
1 second, I'm pausing the video, I'll be right back. Alrighty. We are back. Everybody refresh your streams, please. Alrighty, we are good to go though.
That want to play this type of game. I really think Blizzard needs to provide it. And I really hope, I don't know if they're gonna do it. I hope they are. I know they came out with that survey not too long ago talking about Classic Plus and like, what do you want to see out of Classic WoW? There's been a lot of rumblings of like, people have been talking about the idea of a Classic Plus, whatever it is. I mean, they even did Season of Discovery, right? So like, they've done some research with it. They've done the things that they want to go out and do to be able to kind of survey the audience. But the provision of Classic WoW is something that I think is very important. If you can take the provision of Classic WoW and if you can really learn from what Jagex did with old school RuneScape. Now,
Classic Plus is in such high demand that it's absolutely insane that to this day, to this moment, we still don't have access to it. It's like, after SOD, the fact that we got Anniversary is an absolute gut punch. It's devastating. It's truly a shitty experience and it truly hurts. But like, let's keep it real. Classic Plus is what's necessary to save Classic WoW. Because Anniversary and Mr. Pandaria is not it. It's absolutely not it, chat.
I don't think the old school RuneScape method of Classic WoW, of Classic Plus, I don't think
also Grimhold, Halta, thank you for the follow-on kick.
RuneScape is the type of game that it's not like for a lot of people, RuneScape is like a 1,000-hour game, a 10,000-hour game, right? That just goes and goes and goes. WoW is not that type of game for a lot of people anymore. Even with Classic, you level much faster. It's a lot less grindy than something like a RuneScape is. And the scope of what the game entails is very different. They're two completely different types of MMOs. And I think that if you were to come out with hey, like a survey system of like a voting for what features you want in this and a voting for what features you want in that. We've seen it for years, man. People don't really, like people will ask for something and then it'll be provided, but then it's like, wait, we hate this now, right? Good example of this is like PvP scaling, right? The gear scaling in PvP that happened in retail years ago. And then the PvPers, like everybody wanted it because they were like, well, you know, we want gear scaling so it doesn't feel like if you don't have the gear, you can't compete. But then what ends up happening is they provide it and then they're like, well, now this kind of sucks because now I can't like build out my character and like get gear and now it feels like gear is meaningless. It's like, yeah, but it's...
PvP is always going to be convoluted and complicated no matter how you look at it, no matter how you like discuss it or bring it about. PvP on a baseline is not the smoothest experience. It's not the funnest experience for a lot of people. The skill difference and the skill gap between, say, 5 different players is obscene. One player could probably destroy all other 4 people, and one person will always lose. So you cannot really balance PvP, because if you balance it, it makes it an unfun experience for everybody. PvP should be like rock, paper, scissors for the best version of PvP, but a lot of people will absolutely hate that because, for example, let's say Warlock hard shit on Mage. Mage hard shit on Warrior, and then Warrior hard shit on Warlock. That kind of rock, paper, scissors would actually be good PvP. But for a lot of Classic players, that would be outlandish or unfun because it's not exactly what they would consider PvP or their version of PvP.
That's what you guys asked for. And I think this is something that Blizzard has done for years. Sometimes good, sometimes bad, but they listen to people and people say they don't, but I think they do. Sometimes Blizzard listens to people too much. I think what you need to do as Blizzard, I think you need to listen to what people want. And your job as a developer, your job as a dev, is to hear what they want, what they're asking for. You don't give them what they're asking for. You find out why they're asking for the thing that they are asking for, and then you trace it back to the problem, and then you come up with a solution for that problem that fits the scope of what your game should entail. That's what I think needs to happen. I think a developer needs to do that. A lot of times you have communities that come out and they misconstrue what they want because they say, we want you to listen to the community. And it puts devs in a situation where they're like, okay, I want to listen. But then the results don't match up with what they asked for. And it's because they didn't go back to that. They need to retrace their steps and hit that point. And they've done that sometimes, actually. They've done that sometimes well. And other times they haven't done as well. At the end of this whole thing, I don't know what's gonna happen with this lawsuit. I think more than likely, I mean, Blizzard's got the big guns. They've got the heavies out there, okay? They're gonna full send it on these guys and try and shut it down, sure. But that's one thing. Blizzard is gonna do what they're gonna do as a company. I get it. But the community, provide the community with a thing that people want so bad. People want Classic Plus. They really do. People really want Classic Plus. Blizzard needs to do it in a way, and I don't know, maybe I've thought about it, man. I've thought about going back and making.
I think as far as the current community goes, as far as the current player base and the current, like, the people enjoying and vibing with World of Warcraft go, staying as is right now is absolutely a death knell for World of Warcraft for Classic. And it's absolutely going to lead to more and more people slowly but surely quitting World of Warcraft and leaving the Classic stratosphere over time. I'm not saying it's perfect. I'm not saying Classic as it stands right now is terrible, but it's no longer a growing, thriving game. The hype for 2019 and original TBC and Wrath is gone. It's not coming back. We have less than 1/4 of the player base of OG Classic in current anniversary. 1/4 or 1/5 of the player base. That does not give me hope for the next Classic to have, what is it going to be, half of this? So 40,000, 50,000 people playing? Classic isn't growing, and I feel like the only way for it to grow is Classic Plus. I feel like that's the only way.
Videos, like the old days, man. Going back to 2017 S-Fan, going back and making videos, I've thought about it. Yeah, going back to old private server S-Fan style. Hey, I'm gonna make videos and talk about like what I think they should do with Classic Plus. What should they do with Classic Plus? What should they do with, okay, you should change these talents like this for this class. You should add this, you should do that. Because my general idea with Classic with Classic Plus is, what if you took vanilla WoW, but then vanilla never ended? And you rescaled the game and kind of retooled the game to that level 60 sort of experience, but then you kind of add some things in from the other expansions, right? Maybe you add a few zones here and there, you add a few dungeons here and there, you add a few raids here and there. And maybe I'll go into this in another video. It really depends. It depends on what I really feel like passionate about. And I'm telling you, man, I mean, I miss talking about what I want Blizzard to do with Classic and all that. So maybe we'll bring it back, man. Make Paladins, look, guys, give Paladins flying, okay, flight form. They shoot lasers from their nipples, okay. They crack open Ret Bulls, okay. They can become the Ret Bull. Ret Bull gives you wings, like back in the day. Yeah, no, that's great. I know this firsthand. I have played with people that are on the Classic WoW dev
Teddy.
team. I have played against people that are on the Classic WoW dev team for many years and years ago. You have people that are very, very, very passionate about vanilla WoW, about World of Warcraft, about Classic.
Absolutely.
Incredibly passionate. But they need support.
Please, preach it, S-Fan. Holy shit.
They need help.
All I've wanted is Classic Plus. My whole content cycle until recently was Classic Plus. I have nothing left to talk about from the content creator perspective. I have to start making shit up or talking about private servers and more Classic Plus content. That's where we're at. That's the level of content you have available as a Classic player. You can only do so much. You can only discuss so much. You can only debate so much before I'm talking about the same topics again and again. Any support would be amazing. But as of right now, there is nothing for the Classic Plus community aside from private servers. And that's single-handedly the worst thing I could ever really say about the situation.
I saw what happened with Sod. I mean, Sod was kind of cool. But when you were playing Sod, it kind of felt like I was playing on a private server. It felt like I was playing like a modded version of WoW with reused assets, with, hey, let's kind of retool some stuff and like throw this in here and throw that in there. It felt kind of scuffed. And I know help costs money, but put an artist on the team. Give these guys some support. Look, it's just like a Retribution Paladin, all right? They just need a little bit of help, a little bit of support, okay? Give them the tools they need. Back these guys up, all right? Give them, hey, You know what? Hey, throw him an onslaught girdle. Let's give him a two-hander, okay? Give the Ret Paladin some gear, all right? And maybe they can do something with it. Look, I'm telling it like it is. Give the classic WoW team is like, I feel like they're the frickin' Ret Paladins. Just give them some gear, all right? Look, they can do some damage, all right? They can melt faces in PvP like a Shadow Priest, okay? Dozens of DPS will come their way, all right? Dozens of damage. But that's what it is, man. Like, we played Scarlet Enclave. Scarlet Enclave, great idea. But they didn't have any help. They didn't have like new models, anything new to add in.
And that's the thing. They now have a dev team. They now have employees. They have artists. They've grown drastically. But we as the classic player base have seen none of it. We don't know what's coming. All we've gotten access to is Retail WoW, it's Mr. Pandaria Classic, or its Anniversary, which is AQ40 going to Naxxramas soon. That's the devastating part about classic WoW, is that we want to be supportive, the player base wants to be hype, but all everybody's doing is shitting on WoW. I made a video today saying classic WoW is dead effectively, and Classic Plus is the future. Because it is. Classic is a declining game, it's a declining player base. Nobody wants to repeat Classic WoW forever. The people that want to do that are the era Andes, and there's always going to be 20, 30, 40,000 of those guys, but that's not enough to sustain the Classic community.
But they worked with what they had, and they did a pretty good job. I mean, I thought Scarlet Enclave was fun for what I played of it. But just give them some support. How many devs are on the team? Like 10? I have no idea. But it's not very much. I'll tell you that much. It's not very much. I really hope they do a Classic Plus. Yeah, I mean, let me know what you guys think, man. I'm sure we're gonna make a YouTube video out of this. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'm very, very passionate about Classic WoW, and it's where I come from. It's how I started making content in the first place, back in the old private server days and all that. And maybe I didn't go super in depth into it all today, but I try to keep it mostly to the discussion of Classic Plus and the shutting down of Total WoW with this lawsuit and all that, or like the attempt at it, or I don't know how it's gonna pan out. Please subscribe, leave a comment, let me know what you think. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoy it. You guys can see me live on Twitch. I do everything. I do all kinds of stuff. I do more things than anybody else on the website, and it's the worst thing in the world. Yeah, hey look, hey, it is what it is.
So Esan's an OG of the classic WoW scene, from private servers to where he is right now. He doesn't really do WoW content anymore, and I don't blame him. You can only play the same classic game over so many times, especially for him. He was making content non-stop from 2017, 2016, up until I think 2022, 2023. And it's a burnout situation. You can only play 50,000 hours and do 10,000 hours of content and all this random shit before you're just tired. But a Classic Plus would reinvigorate the whole scene. Hands down, it would bring everything back to the highest quality echelon of gameplay, community, and fun. If only they would announce something, if only they would make something. Exactly, Roth. Without Esan and the other OGs, we likely never would have gotten Classic. But there'll be a link to Esan's video in the description down below. Go check him out. He's one of the OGs. Go subscribe to him if you haven't already. Dude's a fucking legend. I'd love to actually get on call with him someday and talk Classic Plus. Spend hours deep diving and breaking it down, getting his opinions on somebody that actually fought for the OG Classic and what his thought on the game and the community is right now. But hey, thank you for watching. This is a second channel video. Like and subscribe, dislike and subscribe. It's a second channel video. Peace.